Do they really have an interest in bringing us closer to freedom, or do they only want to keep us coming back for more? So as AI has been creeping into more and more facets of our lives, I've been reflecting about it a lot, as I'm sure many of you have. And today I thought I'd make a short episode to share my reflection. And this is really just to share the way that I'm thinking about this stuff and my approach to it. It's not meant to be prescriptive or tell anybody what to do, but it might be helpful to share and compare how we're really approaching these emerging technologies and how we're working with them. So specifically, I'm going to talk about the role of AI in our personal practice or in our spiritual practice. And when I say AI, I do mostly mean ChatGPT and these chatbots that we might be interacting with to get personal guidance or spiritual guidance from. At the end of the video, I'll share my personal opinion and how I am integrating and working with AI and these tools in my personal life and in my personal practice. So stay tuned for that. If you're new here, welcome. Hello, my name is Parisa. I teach meditation and I make these videos for you. And my aim here is to really help you streamline, clarify, and personalize your practice so that you can be self-resourced, self-trusting, and free. So let's get into it. So first, I think it's important to talk about what even is the point of our personal practice. And of course, it's different. It's going to be different for each of us. But when we kind of step back and look at everything, here we are, having this experience on Earth. We're navigating so many things as we grow and expand and learn. And we all face challenges and we all face hardships and we all face these sticky parts. I mean, no matter who you are, we all face difficulty. No matter who you are, it's hard. Life is hard. And so where our personal practice can really come in, and sometimes I'll use the term personal practice, sometimes I'll use the term spiritual practice, but I really mean the same thing. It's basically whatever we have in our lives that we can go to help us navigate and to reduce the suffering as we're moving through it all. So it's a way to find that inner peace and a pathway to freedom. And typically this suffering comes when we don't accept things for what they are, when we don't accept things and allow them to be as they are, when we have expectations, when we are wanting things to be different or more or better. It's that grasping, it's that painful longing, it's that aching that we all experience. And you don't have to take my word from it. You can check in with your personal experience and really see if you can find that to be true for yourself. And then on the other side, peace and freedom come from letting go of that chase, realizing that there is no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and that really everything that we're looking for is already here. But it's a path and it's a practice to really wake up to these truths. It might even be a necessary part of growth and waking up, almost as if it's the thing in our lives that kind of creates that friction that makes forward motion possible. So we can really feel the suffering, notice what it's pointing to, notice where that gripping and resistance and basically non-acceptance of life as it is, of the reality as it is, are really causing more hurt. So if the aim of our personal practice is to soften that grasping and that gripping that we know causes us suffering, then this is a really good way to frame our evaluation of any tools that may have found their way into our personal lives, whether that's ChatGPT or other AI tools or other tools that we might be interacting with. So if we have come to understand that the tools or personal practices that seem to be supportive on our path are the ones that soften the grasping, the ones that break down this illusion that we're this separate sense of self and that we need to get X, Y, Z, and we need to reach for something external to feel complete, to feel peaceful, and to feel good, then this is how we can really evaluate any of our tools, including something like ChatGPT, but also including anything else in our lives, really. we can kind of ask ourselves, is this reinforcing the idea that there is something missing here, that there is a lack, and that I need to just get one more piece of information, one more thing that I need to understand better, one more piece of knowledge, or anything else in the realm of intellect and language and form, if that makes sense? Or does this tool actually help me soften that misunderstanding or that illusion? Does this actually bring me to a place of letting go of the idea that I need anything outside of myself? Does it actually help me to make this almost this U-turn, this coming back to myself and feeling and practicing regulating myself and really touching into the truth that there's nothing external that's going to save me or make me feel better or bring me any lasting contentment or happiness, and that actually what I need is here, and I can even tap into resources that I have inside, and I can actually let go of that grasping and that reaching and that constant aching longing, and I can actually realize that I'm whole and that the peace I'm really seeking is already here, kind of underneath it all. So it might actually be possible to ask ChatGPT or your AI chatbot of choice to act as a wise spiritual guide or a meditation teacher, one that really prompts you to look into yourself, to inquire into yourself, one that prompts you to really bring that awareness back to yourself and what you're feeling, really investigate what's moving through you and try to support you in understanding it. Maybe help guide you to notice what you're holding on to that is maybe not so helpful, to maybe even guide you to see blind spots and any negative thought patterns that might be causing harm. So I think anytime it's helping to increase self-knowledge, and again, helping you reflect, helping you deepen self-knowledge and notice what ways of being are maybe not so helpful and causing harm, and let those go. And I know that there are even some really highly regarded spiritual teachers that now have custom GPTs that you can interact with and you can ask questions and they respond embodying their teachings. So maybe that might be helpful. And if you have experience with that and it's really supported you in your practice, let us know in the comments below. I'm very curious about this application. I mean, it's really like anything else. You think about things like money, sex, sugar, cheeseburgers, junk food, television, the internet. I mean, few of these are inherently and categorically bad for us. It's about our relationship to them. We all seem to have this sense of deficiency born out of a sense of separation or a sense of being a separate self. And it really is a part of our biology and our natural wiring to be seeking. And with balance, that seeking can actually be expansive and creative and innovative and positive. But it's when that seeking is trying to fill this hole inside of us that we think makes us feel incomplete. That's when I think we really need to pause and examine. Are we sort of chasing this because we think it's going to fill some hole inside of us and finally make us feel complete? And we probably have all learned that it never quite hits the spot. We never quite get that lasting peace from chasing external things. So similarly with these AI tools, we can examine, are we sort of chasing something that we think it's like, if this one more, it's almost like gambling. It's like one more answer, one more interaction. And is this the thing? Am I missing some secret, information or some insight that it's going to give me that's going to make me feel complete, finally bring me deep understanding and freedom? And we know that it's never this one missing. We're not missing some piece of information. It really is this practice to come into ourselves and notice where those illusions are and really let go of those and just come back to what we already have. And so you can really notice what's really going on in that interaction with that chatbot. And it's to really notice what's going on inside of you when you're interacting with it, but also kind of paying attention to how it's designed. Is ChatGPT really exasperating that sense of grasping and that chasing something? If only I can get to the bottom of this, then everything will make sense. Then I can finally be at peace. And you'll notice that the conversation that you have with these chatbots, it's actually designed to keep you going. It's not designed to naturally come to an end. It's always designed, just like so many other things in our consumer culture, to keep that engagement going. It's designed to keep you craving for more interaction. An AI chatbot is literally designed to bait you for more interaction, to bait you for more engagement. It's ultimately still a product that's designed for consumption. If for you find that it is a tool that is kind of softening that sense of falling into consumption and more and chasing, then it might be a helpful tool. But really examine, and honestly and gently, with kindness, examine that interaction and how that's playing out for you. I mean, it might be fun to compare it with what makes a great meditation teacher, right? A great meditation teacher, I think, is one who really does guide you to keep coming home to yourself, to keep making that U-turn and really examine, what is here, doing that work of self-inquiry and doing that work of understanding yourself and having more self-knowledge. A great meditation teacher or a great spiritual guide is not always trying to get you to come back for more or to create a dependency on them. They may help us develop awareness and self-compassion and ultimately, hopefully, to tap into the resources that we already have and to liberate ourselves from these limiting ideas. So that in itself might be a helpful way to evaluate the value of some of these tech tools in our spiritual practice. Okay, I'm really working on making these videos a little bit tighter, a little bit shorter, and being more concise. There's so much more to say about this, but I'm going to pause here and let's go into a quick little exercise that we can do together. So next time you find yourself in that moment when you're about to reach for ChatGPT, for spiritual guidance, or life advice, or whatever it is, see if you can just take a moment to pause and do this little exercise, check in with yourself. And that doesn't mean to say that you won't interact with it or you will. It's just to really get clear on the role that it plays in your personal practice and to be wise and discerning and decide if it's actually supportive on your path or actually exasperating the very mechanisms that make our life more difficult. So imagine you've kind of taken that pause, taken that breath. We haven't picked up the phone yet. We haven't gone to the computer yet. And just really drop in and listen and see what you can feel in the body. A lot of times when we are reaching for these tools, there is some discomfort arising within us. It could be some sense that we need something. So there's a need there. And so you can kind of breathe and see if you can just become familiar with what it feels like when that need arises in you. And as you do this, see if you can just notice and feel without any judgment and with kindness. If there is something uncomfortable that's arising, or if there is a hurt there, then it's natural for us when there is something difficult or when there is something that hurts for us to want to soothe it and for us to want to reach for something that makes us feel better. So really not judging yourself for it and just seeing if you can notice that there's something here that requires tending to, something here that requires attention and care. Notice too if there is that tendency to look away or look for something else outside of yourself. You might even notice a sensation in the body, some tightening, some tension, some gripping, almost as if you are physically reaching out and grasping for something. Or maybe it feels like an ache, an emptiness, a hole, something missing. And see if you can just continue to breathe and soften around this. almost as if you are physically kind of loosening the grip, loosening your grip around something, to remind yourself that there isn't something out there that you need to feel better, and that you can come back to yourself, breathe, and meet this part of you with kindness and care and compassion. Is it possible to take some time and remember the wisdom that you already have and reconnect with that? Often we don't need more information. We just need to integrate and deepen and connect with the wisdom that we already have. And sometimes just that pause is enough to kind of make that little pivot toward what we know we can give ourselves, whether that's care or whether that's a reminder. Maybe that reminder that there isn't a piece of information that we're missing that's going to make us feel whole. That whatever we might be craving, we can actually find right here. And then instead of obtaining something, maybe what we need is to let something go and to soften and to come back. And maybe it's to remember that that sense of peace is not going to be found in the next piece of information, but really it's already right here underneath it all. And so from this place, you may still decide to use the AI tool. You may still decide to go to ChatGPT for that spiritual question. But notice the possibility from this place to notice that there might be a different quality in the body and the mind as you approach the tool in this way. I think the most important thing that I want to add to when we're doing an exercise like this and taking that pause is to really notice the intention behind the urge to go to something like ChatGPT. If you're really honest with yourself and you check in with the intention, and there was this sense of chasing something that was going to be the missing key or give you that thing that you were missing. If you were noticing that you were going for that thing, it can be really insightful. And again, it can create that sort of spaciousness to choose differently. If you know that that's going to be an empty chase, then you can choose differently. So I want to be clear and say again, it's not about the thing. I think what's really important to understand and what I really want to express clearly is that it's not about the thing. It's about our relationship to it. It's about the intention that we have behind our use of it. Outside of maybe some really terrible drugs, these things that we go to, these things that we reach for in an attempt to soothe ourselves, in an attempt to feel better, are not always inherently bad in themselves. I think there's that quote by Ani DeFranco that says something like, any tool can be a weapon if you hold it right, or hold it wrong, I guess, depending on how you think of it. Or the other idea that depending on the dosage and how we use it, something can be either medicine or poison. So I think of it kind of like that. I think, how am I interacting with this? How am I using this? Is this supportive? Am I using this as a tool toward freedom, or is this actually entangling me even more in the illusions of separateness and consumerism and chasing, and this idea that I'm missing something that I need to seek outside of myself to feel good or complete? That's the bottom line for me. And this really goes for anything. Why do I reach for my phone in this moment? Why do I go to the chat bot? Why do I go to the fridge? Why do I start compulsively cleaning the house? Whatever it is. And of course, there's something to be said for things that are soothing in wholesome ways. But you really have to examine for yourself. Is this, again, soothing in a wholesome way, in a balanced way, in a healthy way? Or is this something that is kind of helping me check out, avoid, and really exasperating patterns and ways of being that are only causing more harm. And only you can answer those questions. You know better than anyone else. So I hope you trust yourself as you do this inquiry and as you answer these questions for yourself. I'll just close by really sharing my personal opinion, which I think is already clear. I think anything that's designed to make us dependent on it and increase our engagement and our retention and our consumption of it is inherently not going to prioritize wisdom. It will be biased toward giving us answers that keep us coming back rather than freeing us. So just as we might check in with our own intentions before we reach for something, I think it's equally important to check in with the intentions of any apps or tools or products that we might use. Do they really have an interest in bringing us closer to freedom, or do they only want to keep us coming back for more? So personally, I do use AI tools. I use AI to speed up my editing work. I really find it useful to look up studies and find research that backs up any practices that I might be recommending. And if I'm making an episode that's really informative, sometimes I'll use something like ChatGPT to see if there are any points that I'm missing, anything that would really make the information feel more complete and supported and backed up. I do not use it for writing the scripts for my videos. I did not use it for this video, for example. I don't like to use it for anything creative. And again, I really try my best to check in with how I'm feeling, whether it is ChatGPT or any other AI tool or YouTube or the internet or substances or relationships, anything really. It's like, is there a tightness? And as you all know by now, I'm always about checking back in with the body. Is there a tightness here? Is there kind of a sense of grasping and chasing? Or is there actually a sense of gratitude because this is speeding up my work and smoothing things out and really enhancing my workflow? And that can be a really helpful barometer for me. I'm certainly not perfect. I definitely have my moments, especially late at night, if I'm really feeling uncertainty and feeling like I'm in the chaos. And I might go to it and I might go into a deep dive of something, do a bunch of research. And there's this idea that it's going to give me some sense of order or some sense of understanding in all of the chaos, some sense of order, some sense of control. And usually it's a false sense of control, and that might feel a little bit good in the moment, but ultimately it doesn't last. And so I really just try to catch myself in those moments and notice where the tension and the anxiety is and really investigate what the need is. And often it is just kind of acknowledging and saying, yeah, things are feeling really uncertain right now. Yeah, I'm really anxious about this. And it's okay, and kind of meeting it with compassion. This is a natural part of living a life, and that there's nothing wrong, and that can really soothe me and bring me back. And that simple act of acknowledgement and compassion and really softening around everything. And then it happens again, and the cycle repeats, and it's a practice, and that's what we do. And when we catch ourselves again and again, and we're able to tend to our own needs again and again, and we have this growing history of being able to meet our own needs and freeing us from needing to seek something outside of ourselves, and that is incredibly liberating. And so, as always, that's my greatest wish for you, is to practice trusting yourself, practice tapping into your own resources, practice connecting and reconnecting with the wisdom that you already have from your life experiences, and in that way becoming more and more free. Okay, so now I want to know, what do you think of all this? Do you use any of these tools? Do you have opinions on these tools? What have you noticed about your relationship with tech, whether it's any AI tools, ChatGPT, your phone in general, or your relationship with media and YouTube? All of it. I want to hear all of it. I'm interested in all of it. Share your reflections in the comments below. As always, thank you for being here and sharing your reflections, and I'll see you next time.